Good evening, and what a roller coaster it's been. My name's Maddie Wise.
And I'm Scotia McKenzie, and we'd like to welcome you to Grad 2021.
We would like to start off by saying how proud we are of you. This year has been far from easy. Your perseverance and determination has been most admirable. We are so excited to be here with you today to celebrate all of your achievements.
This year has thrown us all through a loop, and this pandemic has taught us some very valuable lessons. Remember that your circumstances don't make up your story. You get to choose who you become.
We acknowledge that we are in Treaty 6 territory, and we recognize all of the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and non-First Nations whose footsteps have marked these lands.
Please rise for the national anthem sung by the LCHS choir.
I would now like to welcome Mr. Jason Petrie to introduce our Salutatorian.
Greetings, staff, parents, extended family members, and most importantly, graduates. It's my pleasure to introduce this year's Salutatorian, Ms. Jenica Swartz. When Jenny asked me to introduce her, I, of course, was excited to have been given the honor. After all, I could write volumes and speak for hours about this truly remarkable young woman. But Jenny, sensing, like she always does, my enthusiasm and penchant for chatting, quickly reminded me I only had 3 to 4 minutes. So, Jenica, I'm going to do my best to keep it short, brief, and to the point, and I'll try not to embarrass you. Probably unbeknownst to Jenica, she was quite well known to me even before she began attending LCHS. As one of our school's track and field coaches, each year I comb through the results of the Wolf Creek Junior High track meets in hopes to recruit athletes for our Rams track program. In my studying the Wolf Creek track and field results, I noticed something unusual. The grade 7 Swartz kid from Terrace Ridge School won and set records in pretty much every event she entered that year. The next year, I did the same thing. I combed through the meet results with highlighter in hand, and lo and behold, that same Swartz kid won and set records in every event she entered. By grade 9, I didn't need to see the results to know that if that Swartz kid had won or not. It was sort of a foregone conclusion, but I do remember saying to Mr. Adamson, who is also one of our track coaches, "Man, I can't wait for that Swartz kid to get here. She's a stud." My wife, who is the school social worker at Terrace Ridge, would also keep me abreast of all the things Jenica was doing at the school as a kid of the Ridge. Mrs. Petrie's stories rarely involved any conversations about sports or track and field, but nonetheless, I was always interested to hear about the pretty, sweet, lovely, kind, very quiet, and extremely smart Swartz kid. When Jenica arrived at LCHS, she did not disappoint as a student or as an athlete. In her grade 10 year, Jenny was a dominant performer in the classroom, on the track, on the cross-country course, on the soccer pitch, and on the hardwood. In fact, as a grade 10 student, she was on the principal's list, earning marks averaging above 90%, and was also named the LCHS Athlete of the Year, an award usually reserved for grade 12 students. It was also during Jenny's grade 10 year that I had the pleasure of getting to know her as a student in sports performance. It was during this class that I really grew to appreciate the quality of human being Jenica is. Here, I observed Jenny to be a kind, caring, and industrious student with an extremely high level of integrity and empathy. She was always one of the hardest workers in the room, and she always did what she could to be the best that she could that day, whether we were in the classroom, on the field, or in the gym. Now here we are 3 years later. Jenica has grown to be a phenomenal young woman who is still one of the brightest, best, and hardest workers in the room. She is on the principal's list with an average of 96%. She's extremely goal-oriented. She always does what she can so she can be her best each day. And she is still very much the same pretty, sweet, lovely, kind, very quiet, and extremely smart Swartz kid who Mrs. Petrie asks about when I come home from school. Jenny, thank you for the honor of getting to know you, getting to teach you, and getting to learn from you, and for humoring me by pretending you're always listening to me. You are a marvelous example of a high-achieving student athlete here at LCHS, and more importantly, you're an even greater example of an awesome human being. I'm so proud of you, and I'm really going to miss you being around here, kid. Everyone, it's my pleasure to introduce the LCHS class of 2021 Salutatorian, Miss Jenica Swartz.
Thank you, Mr. Petrie. Welcome all graduate staff and family members. I would like to start off with a quote. How you do anything is how you do everything. Mr. Petrie has spoken these words to me many times over the past 3 years. They stuck with me, as I realized that I do approach everything with the same mentality. And now, I strongly believe that Mr. Petrie's message about consistency will apply to us all as we continue our journeys into the future. I think that it's important for us to recognize that this year was one of adaptation. We had to part with pre-pandemic normalcy and live with things like wearing masks, separation from our friends, not having sports, and being sent home once a month to quarantine. The noise and confusion of the common area during lunchtime was replaced by a silent, dismal space. We missed being able to see the fog of our breaths as we sat in the stands late into the night to cheer on our Rams football team. We had to adapt to new ways of learning, both online and in the classroom, and I guarantee that all of us imagined a graduation much different than the one we got. However, despite all the chaos, the pandemic taught each of us something that will help us make our dreams a reality. That something was perseverance and resilience, and being here today proves that we were all able to exhibit these qualities over the course of the year. We all missed out on so many opportunities as a result of the pandemic, but we also gained many valuable experiences because of what we had to go through, like lifting our heads up to keep going when we felt there was no end to our, at times depressing, and for some often lonely, new normal, or trying to stay awake during our many invigorating 3-hour class periods. These experiences are something that allowed us to grow and have given us practice with that perseverance and resilience. We will all continue to face adversity in our lives, and will do so with the mentality that success is built on learning from failure. I am certain that many of us experienced failure before we discovered how to have success as we adapted to the chaos that became our grade 12 lives. This mentality has become a habit, and I believe it is how we will approach everything else in our lives, including our dreams, because habits are hard to break. How we do anything is how we will do everything. With this mentality, we can make our dreams a reality. One of us could be the next passenger Elon Musk takes to Mars. We already know how to deal with loneliness. What's a 14-month there and back trip on a spacecraft? But let's not forget that we have already made one of our dreams a reality. We are here today, graduating, and that is an accomplishment we must celebrate.
Thank you, Mr. Petrie, and congratulations, Jenica. I would now like to introduce Miss Michelle Weatherspoon to introduce our Valedictorian.
Greetings, graduates and guests. I have the honor of introducing Mackenzie Caddy, Lacombe Composite High School's 2021 Valedictorian. So who is Mackenzie Caddy, besides the sweet, smiley student with a 96.4% average in her academic courses? And she did all this in a year where she was quarantined 5 times. Mackenzie is the daughter of Marie Franz and Matthew and has 2 younger siblings. When staff was asked to describe Mackenzie, words that came to mind included hardworking, involved, thought-provoking, well-spoken, perfect, enthusiastic, insightful, caring, considerate, kind, dedicated, upbeat, humble, and sweet. Let's start with the humble one. In meeting with Mackenzie about all the things that I can say when I introduce her, I made the offhand comment, "Don't worry, I won't go on and on and on about you." And she said, "You could talk about me all day." I'm fine with that. Very fitting for someone who dressed as the sun in the solar system of her grade 11 year for Halloween. I first met Mackenzie in grade 10 when she arrived at LCHS and joined Ram's leadership. She was a member for all 3 years and made a positive impact on our school. She even attended some student leadership conferences to learn more. In her grade 11 year, I had the opportunity to teach her physics. Then the world stopped. Fun fact, neither Mackenzie or I was at LCHS on Friday, March 13th, 2020, the last day of in-person classes before COVID shut down the rest of the school year. When we flipped to remote learning, it was awesome to have her in my class. She handed everything in and on time too, and it was perfect. Teachers are thankful to have Mackenzie in their class. She asks thought-provoking questions, she's a deep thinker, and she gets involved in class discussions. A few teachers commented it's always good to have someone to check their answers against to make sure that they got the correct answers. Her friends were concerned about whether she was actually the valedictorian or not. Apparently, some people have a hard time reading her writing. So I had Mackenzie compile a list of all the teachers who can read her writing. Here it is. Oh, Mackenzie, I can't read this. Just kidding. We all have faith that you're the valedictorian. It isn't all academics for Mackenzie. She was a member of Ram's Leadership Club, Reach for the Top, Interact, and she's an active figure skating who also insists in coaching the littles and a very talented piano player. She's an avid reader, a thoughtful friend, a game changer. She once went all the way to Revelstoke to buy the last lawnmower in Western Canada. 2020 was good times. Mackenzie is insightful, dedicated, inquisitive, and highly intelligent. In the summer of her grade 11 year, she was accepted into the elite academic program, Heritage Youth Researcher Summer Program, investigating the effects of electrical stimulation on nerve growth. This fall, Mackenzie is attending the University of Alberta, taking a Bachelor of Science in Honors Neuroscience, with one day hoping to have the prefix doctor, whether it comes from a PhD or a medical degree. We will just have to wait and see. Hopefully, she'll be able to solve the age-old question of Bobby and Darlene. We have faith that you'll be able to do it. Whatever Mackenzie decides to focus on in her future, we all know that you'll be spectacular at it. It is time to turn our dreams into reality. Please join me in congratulating Mackenzie on the honor of being Lacombe Composites Valedictorian of 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Witherspoon. And thank you, wherever and whenever you're watching this, for taking a moment out of your day to listen to me ramble on for a few minutes. How do I sum up the past 3 years in 3 minutes? The past year alone is probably one day going to fill up multiple pages of some textbook. Living through a pandemic has given many people our age a different understanding of how dramatically status quo can change. When we learn about historic events in textbooks or on the news, we tend to think about how momentous they were. Before this past year and a little bit, that was certainly how I viewed historic events. But after living through such a momentous, dare I say, unprecedented time, I've come to realize that change happens one moment at a time. It's not like in a book or a TV show where a big event happens and the world changes. History relentlessly unravels one moment at a time. It's long, boring, confusing, and stressful. We've had to adapt to changes on a daily basis, and over a year later, here I am speaking to you through a camera, a grand change to the typical way that these speeches are given. Similarly, us graduates are not the same people who entered the school 3 years ago. It was not a decision that any of us made to wake up one day with different friends or a new sense of style, but those things have happened all the same, because of the small events we experienced every day that shaped our growth over the past few years. I want to focus on those little moments because for us, that is what will define our high school experience. Obviously, this is not how I predicted graduating high school, and this isn't the only major milestone that we've missed out on because of the circumstances. 18th birthdays, sports competitions, and school trips have all been altered or canceled entirely. This means that our high school experience will be an amalgamation of moments from the everyday. And today's celebrations, while perhaps tinged with a desire for different circumstances, will be for remembering those small moments that made these years enjoyable. For example, the last day of grade 11 on a random Friday in March. Miss Witherspoon's more or less refusal to take anything seriously in class. The inside jokes created on a random morning in math class. Mr. Warwood's reaction every time I raised my hand in grade 10, so tired of the endless questions that my friends and I asked. Mostly me. Everything down to the strange things I heard walking through the halls had a part in shaping my experience here. The clarity of these memories might fade, but the odd little moments that stuck with me are the foundation on which my high school experience was built. A foundation that will provide stability for the moments that make up the rest of my life. These are the memories that define my high school experience as mine, that make each of our experiences unique. The events of the past year that we've endured have no doubt had and will continue to have major effects on our lives. But it's also allowed us space to understand the steps that must be taken in order to effect change, has shown us that turning our dreams into reality, a daunting prospect when taken at face value, must actually be approached one small step at a time. I wish the rest of my class the best of luck in the steps they take to turn their dreams into reality, and hope they can come to appreciate the patchwork of moments that have added up to our time in high school.
Thank you, Ms. Witherspoon, and congratulations, Mackenzie. I would like to welcome Ms. Yaremchuk for her address to the grad class of 2021.
Hi, everyone. It's my honor to address the graduating class of 2021. A special congratulations to each of you, your parents, guardians, and the LCHS staff for what has been a demanding, challenging, and interesting year, to say the least. Your grad theme, Time to Turn Our Dreams into Reality, brings to mind someone whose name you will all recognize, Walt Disney. There is no doubt Walt Disney was a dreamer. In fact, he apparently sat under a tree in his younger days and dreamt about making animated and live-action movies, a theme park, and a city of progress. He obviously was able to celebrate the realization of those dreams. Not surprising then, he is regarded as one of the greatest visionaries of our time and attributed to the famous quote, "If you dream it, you can do it." Your grad theme recognizes you might already know high school graduation will not be the greatest of your accomplishments, but rather a step toward turning your dreams into reality. Traditionally, graduation speeches are either about beginnings or endings. Your grad theme sits at the start of the continuum, and this is where the excitement actually begins. If I offered you a standard graduation speech, it would be filled with quotes from famous politicians or anecdotes of famous sports figures such as LeBron James, Connor McDavid, Serena Williams, and Tom Brady. I would also offer words of wisdom or famous quotes from those who lived hundreds of years ago. But let's face it, I'm guessing most of you have already stopped listening, haven't you? So how do I make this relevant to you, the class of 2021? I won't profess to understand your music, style of dress, the choice to have a tattoo, one or more piercings, or your obsession with your cell phone. You do know the cell phone is not a limb. And although I may have tried, I haven't kept up with the number of social media sites you may belong to either. Regardless of our differences, we all tend to watch the same movies and possibly the same TV shows. And at one time or another, there's a good chance I and the adults around you today have chased a similar dream that you may have. Earlier, I brought up the idea that the quote, "If you can dream it, you can do it," is attributed to Walt Disney. Interestingly enough, this isn't a Walt Disney quote, but was actually created by Tom Fitzgerald, an Imagineer. Imagineer comes from the term Imagineering, which combines imagining and engineering to create a Walt Disney technique. There are three perceptual strategies involved in Imagineering: the dreamer, the realist, and the critic, all of which work interdependently to create a successful final product. Now that I've completed that little lesson, here's an activity for you. What do you think are the differences between the following two lists? List 1, Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers Endgame, Bad Boys for Life, and 22 Jump Street. List 2, Zoolander 2, Solo, A Star Wars Story, Lego Movie 2, Men in Black International. Yes, those are both lists of sequels. One list represents some of the most successful sequels, and the other some of the most disappointing. Can you tell which is which? What's the difference? These were all big budget films with experienced actors, actresses, directors, and producers, as well as strong supporting casts. All of these sequels had high expectations placed on them based on the astronomical success of the original. Could it be the success of these movies were the attitude, drive, and dreams of those involved? Did some of those involved take success for granted? Did they believe they shouldn't have to get any better the second or third time around? Did the dreamer, the realist, and the critic work harmoniously? If they were here today, what would their answer be? What's your answer? Today, June 30th, your sequel begins production. Will you start off as the dreamer, the realist, or the critic? Who will be your supporters, your director, your producer? Will you supporting cast take you to the next level? What do you envision? More importantly, what will you do next if you were told that you had a blockbuster or a bomb? Will you cross your fingers and hope for the best? Or will you build on your success to guarantee your dream becomes a reality? I believe you will do the latter. You will pay attention to the details, live through the necessary retakes, and will edit with care. There will be bloopers and setbacks, but as frustrating or sad as they may be, you will look back on them and find something to smile about. The script may change unexpectedly, but this will make the plot more interesting. The pandemic certainly added its own twist to your sequel and tested your versatility, flexibility, and adaptability. You were able to persevere and be resilient. You will need to continue to make additions and deletions to many aspects of your lives, but you will do this as you continue to make the final product interesting and worthwhile, because it is time to turn those dreams into reality. Your previous schools and Lacombe Comp have truly enjoyed the time we have spent with you. Even though it was interrupted by emergency learning, online learning, isolating, and quarantining one too many times. Each graduating class has a unique personality, and this grad class is no different. I asked your previous schools to share a few memories or thoughts about you as a class. They all agreed this was a difficult task, as they couldn't come up with any real embarrassing moments. No, I can't believe they did that moments, and no, what a bunch comments. As you listen, you'll notice the similarities between each school. Lacombe Upper said you were one of the most generous classes they ever had. You donated over £8,000 to the food bank and raised about $20,000 for various charities in the community. You were not only an extremely caring group of students, you were also very tech savvy. You were the first class to have your own devices. You showed leadership, quality citizenship, and compassion daily. You were resilient and overcame obstacles with a positive attitude and great determination. The future looks bright with these graduates at the helm. Lacombe Junior can't believe you're already graduating. They saw you as a very kind, friendly, and relaxed group of students. There were a lot of quality leaders in this group that started traditions. Like Lacombe Upper, they said you were well known for your ability to use technology effectively, which would have been useful navigating yourselves through the last 2 years of learning. They wish you the best of luck as you go out into the world and hope you come back to visit. If you came from Clive, you're remembered as having a variety of interests and talents. The staff appreciated your focus on academics, your artistic efforts, your entertaining drama productions, and loved cheering you on in sports. Mr. Jardine remembers one student showing up at a volleyball tournament wearing bright red lipstick to match the school's colors. Now that's school spirit. You worked hard and were great leaders in the school. Clive staff wish you all the best. Iron Ridge Junior Campus remembers you as being a lot of fun. A staff member referred to you as one of their favorite classes. Their memories include a homeroom potluck where one student brought buns while the rest of the class brought dessert. The priorities were obvious. Who remembers the python in biology class that lazily roamed around until it saw an opening and darted for the crack under the door? They're still amused by Tanner and Cody's incredible talent show dance entry that started with an interesting rendition of Hallelujah and ended with tutus and dancing around the stage. And they fondly remembered you dressing up for a Christmas carol and being jam-packed on 2 buses down to Calgary. Iron Ridge wishes you all the best in your future. And then you arrived at LCHS, the last journey before it would be time to turn your dreams into reality. It appears you got the attention of the staff on day 1, or grade 10 orientation. Miss Zenchik remembers you from that day as being a finely mixed group of either scared of the road ahead or not scared at all and were going to take charge. And that watching you navigate through your new roles as high school students has been a roller coaster of emotions. Not sure if Miss Zenchik meant you as students were emotional or not, but maybe Mr. Fenrick provides some clarity when he says the 2021 graduates are an extremely emotionally diverse group, and this makes them both a lot of fun and a little frustrating. Apparently, you've posed a specific challenge for him as he hasn't yet quite grasped the concept of human emotions. Like your previous schools, LCHS teachers have also found you to be fun, caring about making a positive difference, and resilient. Mrs. Waldman claims she had the most brilliant Math 30-1 class ever, so polite and respectful, and she truly believes that in this class there's going to be a couple of engineers and future inventors of cool stuff. Mrs. Galloway believes you are a crew of deep thinkers concerned about making your world a better place by learning about what is needed, embarking on research, and then taking action to make it happen. A class that has the tools and the personality to make a difference. Even during the pandemic, you have found meaningful ways to make your presence known. Thanks, grad class of 2021. Kind and friendly are also words we heard from other schools. Mr. Sonnenberg thinks you're a pretty friendly group who are good for a laugh. I'm hoping that he meant he's laughing with you. Mr. Petrie describes you as a hardworking, dedicated, fun to be around, and oh so polite group. He can't believe how many of you have said thank you after absolutely kicking your butts in a workout. And we all agree with Mrs. Adamson when she says you are a dynamic group with so many different qualities and personalities. In many ways, we know you will be successful, and we wish you all the best as you turn your dreams into reality. Mr. Adamson and I agree you're a very adaptable group. Between a new schedule, the quarter system, in-person and online learning, COVID protocols, and an unprecedented grad event, you have successfully adapted. He also said you made his classes quite enjoyable even when you quarantined him for 19 days straight, Bio 30s. Seriously though, you have shown so much integrity throughout all of this and have therefore been positive role models for all those around you. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the LCHS staff when I say that it's been a pleasure watching you fill your roles as a student, a community member, and a member of the greater society to some degree already. You have met many challenges during your time at Lacombe Comp. You persevered through the first COVID shutdown, then the second, and then you were challenged with a third. Some of you were quarantined once and others 6 or more times. It's often been said that one's true character comes out in the face of diversity. I couldn't agree more with Ms. Miller, who says, "You have demonstrated a resiliency that will serve you well throughout your lives." We are definitely proud of you, the grad class of 2021, and how you have navigated through the challenges presented to you, especially in the last year and a half. This has not been an easy task. You have faced it head on, adapted, and even if it doesn't feel like it at the moment, you have come out stronger than ever. On behalf of Lacombe Comp High School staff, thanks grad class of 2021 for the positive contributions you have and will make, and for role modeling, perseverance, endurance, flexibility, adaptability, and resilience. Continue to be passionate about succeeding, as it's now time to go out there and turn your dreams into reality. Enjoy the rest of your evening, have fun tonight, and above all else, stay safe.
Congratulations, graduates of 2021 from Lacombe Composite High School. This is your Rammy Awards, where you guys voted on the different topics. So the very first one up is most likely to talk their way out of a ticket, and that Rammy goes to Madia Weiss. The next award is Worst Vehicle, and this award goes to Carter Amdam. The student that was voted most likely to show up on a snow day was Peyton Plooster. And our next award is Best Legs, and that is to our track star Quinn Eberts. Most likely to accidentally join a cult, that award goes to Kalia Cross. The student most likely to star in their own reality show, Lance Fenequito. Best laugh, me. Just kidding, that Rammy goes to Travis Chesser. The student most likely to live in their parents' basement at age 40, which I'm sure all the parents are super excited about, is Gabriel Sonnenberg. Best beard. The Rammy goes to Owen McKinley, who does not have a beard in this picture. The student voted most likely to move furthest away was Abby Rapsky. And in brackets, a whole bunch of people put Romania, so I'm assuming you're off to Blackfalds. The student voted to have the most Rams pride is Brianna Palachinik. And we put this one near the end, most likely to be late for grad, so just in case you're actually late for your virtual grad, that student is Erica Zunti. And the one that we've all been waiting for, the Student Celebrity Lookalike, and this year, the winner of the Student Celebrity Lookalike is Chase Carmichael as Eric Foreman from That 70s Show. Congratulations, graduates, and enjoy your future.